Well, hi, everybody. I'm Rick Dancer. Welcome to Get Real with Rick Dancer. And we have a really fun show for you tonight. Bill Lundun will be here in a few minutes with all of your news that you will not get anywhere else from anyone, because he's the guy who still does the digging and looks around and all that kind of stuff. And then coming up in just a second, Kathy's going to join me. A lot of you have asked me, how do you guys find such great Airbnbs? And it's because my wife does all the work and she knows how to do it. So somebody said, why don't you have her on the show? So tonight, Kathy's going to come on and tell you how we go about finding Airbnbs. We do have an Airbnb ourselves, so we'll tell you some stuff about that as well. Our sponsors, Chris Dental Family Dentistry, Dr. Michael Bratlin. He also is doing dentures now. They have a denturist on staff. They're doing dentures there. Just had a lady write me today and said, thank you so much for recommending Dr. Bratlin. I told him when I went in that I was here because I saw it on your show. We love that kind of information because that helps us with clients and that helps Dr. Bratlin as well. Our other sponsor is BS Free MD. Tim and May are doctors out of the Lebanon Sweet Home area. May has actually just had her second hip replacement surgery, and she's kind of a young chick. But so they sent a video that we'll play at the end to kind of tell you what they're all about is they do podcasting every week. They have a new episode and they talk about medical issues. They talk about all kinds of social issues. They're super fun and very interesting. You can find them on Spotify, just BS like bullshit, BS Free MD. And that's where you find them. And then our other sponsor tonight is JDEV Investments. So who are they and what do they do? Well, they take property and renovate it, develop it, and make it into something better. And right now they have a new apartment complex, studio apartments right now, 22 are available in Cresswell. Take a look at this. This is the old Super 8 in Cresswell. They purchased it. They're redoing the rooms. They're going to have 40 more coming up, and they will have some 2-bedroom units. But right now, everything's a studio. I'm going to show you more of them. They all have, obviously, heating, but they also have air conditioning, a full-size fridge. They have a one of those farm kitchen sinks, beautiful place. And then they have those really nice floors. So you are going to love this place. To find out more, in fact, I got to go to my comment section here. I posted it here. So in the comment section, you can find out more about how to get in touch with them. There's the address right there, northwoodspm.com. That's who's leasing these out, and you can find out. And they only have, I can't remember right now, I think they only have like 22 available right now that they're renting out. And they will be on the show next Wednesday to talk more about that and what's going on with that. All right, so now let's bring her on. Kathy, come here. Come around the desk, around the corner. This is my wife, Kathy.
Hello.
So Kathy is like, when we go on a trip, what's the first thing you do?
Look for an Airbnb.
So, but you start, that's your most important, you know where we're going, and then kind of what's the process for you?
Well, so first off is depending on what we're going for, are we going to, do we need a kitchen? Are we going for a long term or whatever? So I think when you asked me to come on, I was trying to get my thoughts straight so I could try to explain this. So I think I'm going to go back in time. I think when we first started really looking at Airbnbs and understanding what they were, it was in Boston. We were looking for a place. A good friend of ours was getting married and we were looking for somewhere to stay, and all the hotels there downtown were unbelievable in price. So
expensive, like really expensive.
For what you got too. They weren't even that nice of a hotel. And so I started looking for Airbnbs, and I found all these amazing, and we ended up renting that brownstone, which was in this really cool neighborhood. And we just had the best time. And I think that was our really beginning of really understanding Airbnbs, and just like you could be in a neighborhood and feel what the community, and it was really fun.
The other place that we were in, when you guys come on, tell me where you're from, because Larissa's from Philomath, and I love seeing you guys where your location is. But what was fun about that place is everybody else, it seemed like they were either leasing or renting long term, and so we were there as guests, but you felt like you were really in town instead of staying in some motel with people right next door to you. It just felt different.
Right. So I was thinking about, like, I know that there's definitely a time and a place for staying at a hotel. Like if it's a quick trip, or, there's times when you aren't going to want to look, because I think Airbnbs are a little harder to find for like one night or whatever. But for us, like when you're going somewhere, we like to have a kitchen so we can do our tea, coffee, maybe make a meal or whatever. In a lot of hotels, you can't do that. So anyway, so what I do is I start out by just kind of scoping the whole area of where we were going to stay, like where we're visiting. And I scope it all out, see about how many Airbnbs are there. Then I start to narrow it down. And by narrowing it down, I'm thinking of, do we want to be close to town? Do we want an extra bedroom? And I'm trying to prioritize so that I can narrow it down. So do I want to be like, if there's a lot, I might look at a super host, and there's filters you can put
So
on.
what is a super host? Because then you know that it's pretty good, right? I mean, that they have good people like them.
Right. I think I looked it up because I need to know this too, but we're new at this. So it takes, you have to have at least 10 reviews, and they have to be above 4.8. And you have to be reliable. You can't cancel. So when you're getting people like that, that you have got people been doing it for a while and they've had really good reviews. So I may then just go in, if there's a bunch, and just go in and filter and say, okay, Superhost only. And then I'll look at those houses. And sometimes I don't. I mean, we've rented from people who have not been Superhost and had great experience. So.
But it's a way to protect yourself a little bit.
Yeah. So unless they're brand new like us. So I always have to put us in there because we're new, and anyway. So then what do I do next? Like I said, then I try to figure out what one might have that another doesn't have, or what do I really want? Do I really like some special things that they have, like hot tub? One may have, I'm trying to think. Anyway.
Well, location is always important too.
Yeah, that's what I did say that, like, so if it's close to town and you want to go out to restaurants, how far away is it? I mean, I do look at all those things, and then it just comes down to narrowing it and prioritizing what you may want. And then I get it down to one or two, and then I go in and I start looking at reviews. And if I have more than that and I still can't figure it out, I'll start reviewing, and then I just skim the reviews and I start looking for things that might stand out, like, oh, really comfortable bed. Somebody might say it's noisy outside. We really did hear the street noise. So these are good, bad things. And I start to just take all that in and then narrow it down to the one that I might be interested in. Oh, and price. I forgot to say that. Price is huge. So sometimes.
And what do you have to watch for?
Well, Airbnb just changed this. They were having kind of like their price on when you're looking was one thing. And then when you actually went in to rent it, they added all these more fees on. Now they're trying to be more transparent and have those fees right up front when you're looking. So it's more comparable.
But you have to look at your cleaning fee, because some people, we charge like $30, but some people charge $150 for cleaning. So by the time you add up a couple nights and the cleaning fee, you could stay at a hotel cheaper.
Exactly. So
it didn't used to be like that.
No. And I know that Airbnb is like asking people to, oh, don't make them do as much work and all that. So
it's another downfall of Airbnb, because it used to be like, sometimes they say, wash the sheets, one load of sheets, and then clean the kitchen or vacuum or sweep. And you're going, I'm renting a place. I'm not your maid.
And most of them don't do that.
Not anymore.
They don't do that anymore. But anyway, I think that's, and I think I've just gotten it better and better at it.
Because we've stayed in some places because you don't know. And
I mean, pictures tell a lot. But you can also kind of skew pictures.
We've had a couple recently that the pictures we got there and we're going, that made this place look a lot bigger than that.
Right. So the thing I was also thinking about is, like, when you go to a hotel, you get what you expect. A hotel room is just pretty much cooker cutter. You get what you expect. When you do an Airbnb, it's more of an experience and adventure. And I think I'm learning to like that more and more, and just go, yes, do your homework, look through every picture, read some more reviews, and then when you narrow it down to the ones you really want, I read the reviews more and more, and just so that, and the less expectation and shocking surprises that come along, but still they're going to be there, and we learn from them, and they've been bad and good, but it's been part of our adventure too.
And some of the things that, don't get overwhelmed when people have tons and tons of rules, because what we've learned is there's sometimes that Kathy's got in there and it's like, everything, take your shoes off. I mean, all these rules, but you realize once you start doing this and talking to them, that they've been screwed by people. I mean, people are messy, and they don't take care of your property all the time. And so you have to have rules so that they know, yeah, please don't put the cigarettes out in the house. Don't bring cigarettes in the home, and you have to put up no smoking signs. But sometimes it looks really anal, but it has a reason.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, I guess that's pretty much all I could think of to say.
And you always look for, because people see the ones you get, and cute is on a huge, way up at the top, like cute, then price. And we just stayed at that place that wasn't a hotel, it was a lodge.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lodge, but we had rented a room. And then the lady said, since you're going to be here for 3 nights, you might want to look at the upgrading to the cabin. And it was like $55 more, but we did it and we were happy we did.
No, it was more than $55 more, but it was worth it because when you saw how little the room was. But this was also a place that had no pictures, so I had nothing to go on. It was just described, but there was no pictures. Okay,
so what do you do then? So because you were, I know you were fretting about that. So you called up the lady.
Well, yeah, I mean, I searched on all sites. Yelp, I searched on, obviously they weren't on Airbnb. I searched everywhere looking for pictures and got nothing. Which I found was kind of crazy considering it was like this lodge that people knew about. So yeah, I called her up and then we had a conversation on the phone, and then she described it a little better. I still opted for the smaller room, but again, we were wrong. So right. We ended up, and we were lucky that we ended up having a room available, and we went for the cabin. But pictures show so much.
See, and so Kathy does this with restaurants too. Is you look on their Facebook pages and on Yelp and go through and look for pictures, because you can tell really fast the quality of the food, or if it's a dive, and if you're in the mood for a dive, then there you go. But and we don't do that all the time, because we were coming home and went by Avon, and there's just that little restaurant we went to, was the Avon
really
Cafe.
Fun.
It was excellent food, but we were kind of scared. We looked at the outside and went, who knows? Because we've been in ones before called Diner, and it's greasy food, and this was like such a surprise. So, but you can kind of.
And I think that's also, now that you said that, that's also, I do use Yelp when we were going to Sealy Lake. And so I was like, I wonder what they have in Sealy Lake for restaurants.
Right.
So then I look up and I'll Yelp it and look for restaurants to kind of get a feel of what this town might be like and what things to do.
That's a smart idea when you're going place, because she really does. But even then we were surprised because nobody in town talked about a new place. That was base camp. It was out just a little bit outside of town, and we ended up going there a couple of times. We really liked it. Yeah, we always do find cool places. Hey, Larice, you were asking about horses and rodeo. Are you looking at our property, or I don't know what you were saying. You just said horses and rodeo in the middle of the conversation. So that's the best that people can do. And then we've only had one really bad.
Yeah, and that was renting in a private home, and we don't do that, and I know other people do, and especially probably if you're single or something, people rent out rooms in their house, but it's just something we don't do. We don't feel comfortable with that. We want our own enclosed area. So we have our basement. We have done basements before, and we like that. I just don't want to walk in someone's home and stay in a bedroom. No. This was the anniversary from hell.
And it was the worst experience of our life. And we were, I mean, literally driving 50 miles an hour down a long driveway to get the hell out of their driveway before she called the sheriff. There's more of a story there, but that was the only bad experience.
Yeah, it was crazy
that we've ever. And we've also stayed, because last summer, and we're thinking of doing a consulting business, because we stayed in, when we used to do a travel show for Toyota, we stayed in a lot of Airbnbs and stuff too. So we've had the experience of knowing what to do. And there's a lot of people that just make little tiny mistakes when you go in their house. And everybody that's been in ours has just come out and gone, oh my gosh, that's so cute. And it's because we've done this. I mean, we know what you want. We give a bottle of wine when people come in. I mean, just little extras like that make people really, it makes us, when people leave little gifts or something, oh, that one in Missoula. That's the one we've gone back twice. It's in a historic building in the best neighborhood. I mean, everything was right there. And she gives you this box of these
local cookies.
And they're like super expensive, but you get a whole box. I mean, too many. But it's like, we remember that, and we go back for the cookies and the location because of where it is. So went to Joseph for the week and found a cute place to stay while rotoing. If you ever want to, there's the Cowboy Retreat. If you're going to Joseph, a friend of ours, she passed away, but her daughter's still running it. It's the Cowboy Retreat or something. It's just like on the edge of town. The cutest place, great place. And then be sure you go to Enterprise too. They have glass blowing and good little restaurants in Enterprise too. And that's what you have to look around too. Sometimes the trendy towns aren't the best. We'll kind of try to find something a
little offbeat,
because then you get a little better feel for the land and people. And don't like, we've stayed in town and then we've stayed out of town. It just depends on what you're looking to do.
Yeah, exactly. And narrowing down the place and how important. I mean, sometimes I'll think, I'll just find just the perfect place right in town. But then there's times when I'm just looking and looking and the prices are a little higher and I can just drive 3 miles and get something that's exactly what I want. And then it's worth it. I mean, it's only 3 miles or 5 miles or something like that. So,
but things, and the last place we went, the 2 times ago, we went in there. Remember, they didn't have any coffee.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I always take my coffee maker. I have a little, press that I make it with, but it was like they didn't have.
Most people
give coffee, but you just have to be prepared for some weirdness and strangeness. Well, thanks, hon. Is there anything else?
I just have to look at my list.
She has to do reading glasses since she now has her new lenses in permanently in her head.
I'm pretty sure we covered it all.
I know what I was going to mention. So we were going to go to a concert, and we're going to a concert with George Strait and Chris Stapleton. And it's located in like 6 different places around the country. So Kathy goes online, and before we bought the tickets, she went online and started looking at Airbnbs and stuff. And we were looking in Seattle and found some really cute places near the place where the concert's going to be. But she started looking at the ratings, and people were saying they left early, too many homeless people everywhere, crime.
No, that was a time when reading the reviews helped us huge. I mean, really nice places, and people actually went on and said, and like sometimes Airbnb hotel rooms will actually use Airbnb to get rentals. So there were a couple of those in there. And so I started reading through them, and the people, they left because they said, you're walking up to your room and it smells like pee and urine, and they're like, and they're in a beautiful hotel. And I mean, I had probably 3 or 4 that I looked at like that.
But they were cute places.
They were really nice, and I felt bad for the people, but I was like, I don't want to stay there.
So what we ended up doing is we're going to Arizona to the concert. So check before you get tickets somewhere. You want to make sure you can get a place to stay and all that. Now, we are going to Arizona, but we know there's plenty of places down there. We don't have an Airbnb yet, but we really were thinking of Seattle. And then we were thinking before that of Nashville, but the time of year we started and these are things you do. Then we contacted a friend of hers who has a friend in Nashville and said, July in Nashville in an outdoor stadium, humidity, So we picked the Arizona one in May. So
The only other thing that I think I wrote on here is that, and I've made this mistake only once. Speaking of summer, hot, I've forgotten the air conditioning, and like I found a place, and I know we've stayed once, especially one time I remember, and did not have air conditioning because I had forgot to look. So that's big, the air conditioning, and not that it's a deal breaker, but washer and dryer sometimes really is nice too if it's for a longer stay.
Well, and when we came to Livingston one time there, our son was saying, "You don't need air conditioning," and Kathy's like, "Yeah, we do. It was summer." And because they don't have
that was the time I had made a few years before and made the mistake, and we were hotter than heck. So yeah.
Well, and then it was when we were there, Jesse and his girlfriend were coming over to our Airbnb because we had air conditioning and they didn't. And it was like, "Oh yeah, no, you don't need air conditioning here." It's like 95 degrees in Livingston, Montana the entire week we were there.
Yeah,
we kind of made our son eat some crow that time. So yeah, so what people are on here is extremely helpful. Loving this. Good. Yeah, if you guys, and we seriously are thinking of doing a consulting business for Airbnb, for people doing them and for people looking for them, just to give you tips and stuff like that. Because like I said, we've been doing this for 10 years now. And we've been to a lot of different places, and we just kind of, you get a feel for what's going on. Plus we kind of just understand that kind of stuff from travel. So, all right. Well, honey, thanks.
Thanks for having me on.
Okay. You're welcome, hon. So there you go. That's your Airbnb. And if you guys have questions, you can send them to me, and then I can pass them on to Kathy, and she could help you out with stuff like that. If you're looking for things you don't quite know what to do, she can help you out with that. Okay. So I'm going to toss you to, what time is it? It's 21 after. Okay, so I'm going to really quick, Bill Lundun is going to be here to do the news, but I want to throw this in there really fast. Tim and May with BS Free MD sent me this funny little video. Okay, it's a little racy, but May had to have hip surgery. They do a podcast, they sponsor our show. And so I want to throw this video in there, and then we'll have Bill Lundun up with the news. So watch this.
Get your hip replaced.
Wish me luck. He's more fired up about this than I am.
You have Walker, Texas Ranger.
I'm awake and alive, having something to eat, in recovery.
Well, I'm here at Paradise, which is aptly named Harley-Davidson, and I figure since May is spending so much money getting a new hip, it might as well be fair, and I should get a new Harley-Davidson. I mean, fair is fair, right?
My legs are still numb. I have no pain. My dumb arm is hurting more than my hip. I don't even feel like I had anything done at this point. And no narcotics. Once my legs come back to normal, I'll do some physical therapy walking and I'll be out of here.
It's the bionic woman.
It's the bionic woman, truly bionic.
What's next? You have no more hips to replace.
Dumb arm.
Still elbow.
We're going to elbows and shoulders next?
Driving home now. My chauffeur and my nurse, my husband and my cook.
It's going to be a lot of sponge baths.
For who, you or me?
Anyway. Go both ways.
Old people problems.
Yeah, come on, like you. Faster.
Go down and go.
Faster.
So I'm home recovering. It's been, I don't know what, 8 hours?
No, it's been almost 13 hours.
That he's been awake,
Since
so he's a
we've
little
left.
cranky. But guess what? I feel awesome. I got the remote for 2 shows on HGTV, and now he's got it. Look at it on his lap.
I got the power.
He's controlling it. Dude, I couldn't even get a full day's worth of remote. Hi, Rick and Rick Dancer viewers. This is a little unusual clip of me sans makeup and looking disheveled. I'm here to tell you that today's podcast episode that's coming out is all related. We did an episode trying to focus on the positive of healthcare with our friend, Dr. Robert Yoho. He recently had 2 shoulder replacements, back-to-back, 4 months apart, recovered well, and he is 69, almost 70, and it's really given him back his quality of life. I have just had my 2nd hip replacement yesterday. I'm laying here recovering. So the show was supposed to be about how great technologies change our lives and allow us to lead quality lives nowadays. But of course, you know Tim, and if you know Robert Yoho, they like to get into the weeds of things, and the show kind of took a little dive into Robert's new book, Cassandra's Memo, and it's about COVID-19 and the global psychopaths. So we plugged that for him, but of course the bunny trail ensued and it sounded just like a downer at the end to me. So that's what's out this week, as well as I'll be putting out some updates on my recovery from hip surgery.
Yeah, hurry up in recovery. I need you to make me a sandwich.
He's been a good nurse. Anyway, talk to you later.
May our prayers are with you, not only for your hip replacement surgery, but putting up with him. Where's my sandwich? You male chauvinist pig. Go make your own sandwich. Your wife is in recovery right now. Recovery from you. No, I would love to watch that rant show. In fact, need to go listen to that tomorrow. He wrote a book, and not Tim, but the doctor, and they start talking about that. You really need to watch that and listen to it. Okay, let's bring Bill on and find out. I didn't get a chance to preview it today because he kind of got it to me a little bit late. Bill's slumbering a little. So Bill, what do you got for us today?
Good evening from the News Radio, 1120 a.m. at 93.7 FM KPNW studios. I'm Bill Lundun, and I'm here to break stuff. All right, so before we get into the fun stuff, let's start off with the stuff. So Measure 110 in Oregon all but legalized street drugs in the state. And it was also, though, supposed to get addicts into treatment with a huge influx of money. How has that worked? Well, a new audit from the Secretary of State's office says the Oregon Health Authority has botched the job, their words, not mine, by not providing support to ensure a successful launch, and it has a significant risk that neither policymakers nor the public will be able to gauge the impacts and any effectiveness of Measure 110 because of the way grants and data are being collected and have been conducted. In a statement, Secretary of State Shemia Fagan, who, by the way, was in favor of Measure 110, says, and I'm going to quote her, "It is plain as day that Oregon's drug treatment system is failing." The audit found that the Oregon Health Authority's role under Measure 110 is unclear, and that it has been contributing to delays, confusion, and strained relations between the agency and the Oversight and Advisory Council. The audit concludes that in the future, the success of Measure 110 is uncertain. Well, another ignominious top 10 for Oregon. New federal data out today shows Oregonians are spending more of their income on rent than renters in 41 other states. We're number 9. We're number 9. According to the study, Oregonians spend an average of $1,284 a month on rent. With an average monthly income of about $5,000, Oregon renters are spending more than 20% or 25% of their income on rent every month. Oregon's population dropped in 2022 for the first time in decades. According to the new estimates from the U.S. Census Bureau, the agency figures Oregon lost 16,000 residents in the year leading up to July 1st of 2022. That is about 0.4% of the state's population. And that now puts Oregon at number 6 among the fastest shrinking states. And that worries state leaders. Why? Fewer people to fund all the programs they're putting into place. Well, military veterans in acute suicidal crisis can now go to any Veterans Administration or non-VA healthcare facility for emergency healthcare at zero cost. The new benefit includes inpatient or crisis residential care for up to 30 days or outpatient care for up to 90 days, and the veterans do not need to be enrolled in the VA healthcare system to use this particular new benefit, and went into effect earlier this week. So we keep hearing how there's not enough nurses in Oregon, and you may ask yourself, well, why is that? Well, it turns out that Oregon's nursing programs, the schools where nurses or wannabe nurses go to get trained, have produced the third fewest graduates per capita of any state, according to the latest data, which was crunched and came out in 2020. That, by the way, in case you're wondering, comes to us from the Oregon Longitudinal Data Collective. They analyze data across Oregon's education and workforce landscapes. And the main reason that we can't graduate any nurses any faster, the pay is so low that nobody wants to go be an instructor. They say they don't have any faculty to teach any additional students. Okay, now the fun stuff. The Oregon legislature. So the Oregon legislature is now in session and has been since Tuesday. And in case you're wondering, so far about 2,500 bills have been submitted, and many more are still to come because they can still be submitting bills through the end of February 21st. So far on the agenda, at least according to the leadership, homelessness, mental health, and the drug crisis. But other issues are on the front burner as well. New Senate President, Democrat Rob Wagner, said Tuesday during a press conference after the session opened up, he said that the legislature, and I'm quoting him, owe it to voters to ensure the Measure 114 gun control initiative is completely implemented. Right now, it's hung up in the courts because at least one judge has questioned whether it's actually constitutional. No need to let the Constitution get in the way of people's rights. Okay, so let's get into some bills. Newly introduced in Oregon is House Bill 2738, and that would create a new guaranteed income program in the state where supposedly lower income people would get monthly free cash from the government. The bill requires Department of Human Services to study the feasibility of establishing a guaranteed income program in the state. The bill states that it is interested in, and I'm going to quote, a program that provides unrestricted and unconditional cash payments to individuals who are members of a targeted population to meet their basic needs. So who's the targeted population we're talking about here? And something else. So this goes back to the universal guaranteed income. I think it was Andrew Yang who was, when he was running for president during the Democratic primaries, he was a big mouthpiece for that and much in favor of it. What's interesting, though, provides unrestricted and unconditional cash payments. In other words, no, you don't have to have a job or you don't have to do anything. They're just going to give you the money. And unrestricted means they won't track where you're spending it and where it goes. So let's say, I don't know, hypothetically, you want to go out and get some blow because it's pretty much legal here in Oregon. Spend it on whatever you want to. Do you have to spend it on rent? No, it's unrestricted. Oregon lawmakers are also going to be taking up a bill this session that toughens legal punishments. You heard me right. It toughens legal punishments on people caught street racing. Senate Bill 615 is sponsored by a Democrat, Senator Chris Gorsuch from Troutdale, and anyone convicted of street racing crimes could spend, on the first offense, 1 year in prison. If you're caught and convicted a second time within a 5-year period, 5 years in the penitentiary. Okay, so we have a governor, or had a governor, that was releasing people from prison that were violent offenders and setting up people that had life in prison without a chance of parole. Oh yeah, she gave them some clemency when she left office, meaning now that even though they were sentenced to life in prison, they could get out early. And of course, 1,000 people that were in the Oregon State Penitentiary were let out onto the streets because, they might get COVID, including one guy who in the course of his life had been jailed and had gone to prison and been arrested on 52 felony counts. But no, you go out and you race on the street, you're going to jail for 5 years. Children 13 years and younger are dying of fentanyl poisoning at a rate faster than any other age groups. This is such sad, pathetic information. It is now a push in the Oregon legislature to get Narcan into schools. We're talking even grade schools. Oregon lawmakers are considering House Bill 2883 that would allow school employees to give a student Narcan without a parent's permission, and it would protect the employees from civil and criminal liability. Ending on an up note, here in Oregon, you deal with drugs because the state overall has legalized all hard street drugs. We deal with homelessness at record levels. Mental health, we're number 49 in the nation in dealing with mental health. Then you have issues like gun control, the budgets and taxation. So far out of the legislature, this is my favorite bill. There is a bill, Senate Bill 764, that would ban kangaroo products. Yes, kangaroo products. Senate Bill 764 is being discussed in committee to, quote, ban any part of a dead kangaroo or any product containing a part of a dead kangaroo. And you may be asking yourself, what in the actual hell? Well, it turns out that animal rights activists don't like it because there is one product in Oregon that is made from dead kangaroo. And no, it's not sweet, tasty Ballpark Franks. It's track cleats made by Nike. This look at the news has been brought to you by Dr. Michael Bratland. He runs Chris Dental in Eugene. All right, Rick, with that, feel free to get real.
God, and you wonder why people have no faith in, in Oregon leadership. Kangaroo parts used in Nike shoes, and that is an issue. More important than not straightening out Measure 114 and the fentanyl problem and the mental health problem that's bringing people to Oregon in droves to live as homeless people. Oh my God. It's moments like with this when Bill talks, I feel like I'm not alone. Because you know what? This is just freaking crazy. And I'll tell you what, it is embarrassing, Tim. And here's the thing, and I'm going to say this because I just don't care. I got in a debate on TikTok. People were coming after me on about guns, and I was saying guns don't kill people, people kill people. And not very many, but a few people were just coming after me like this. There's a lot of very ignorant. I'm not calling people stupid. Ignorant means you don't know what you're talking about. There's a lot of ignorant people, and a lot of them are working in Salem and leading the state. But here's the deal, and I do that at the risk of people coming after me because they always do. But here's the deal. It's not like that everywhere. In Montana, they're talking about giving each property owner $2,000 in rebates on your property taxes last year because they had to overstep. They have more money. All I hear Oregon doing is spending money and trying to go after your kicker that's supposed to come back to you. It's not like this out in the real world. Oregon is a state and Washington, California, surrounded by reality. But there's not much reality in there. Not picking on any of you, because I know some of you are stuck, some of you can't leave, some of you don't want to leave, and I understand that. But here's the deal. It's just plain stupid. I mean, that's one of the hardest things for me right now is living in freedom and working in a penitentiary with ignorance. Because the people that run your state and some of the people who live there, they just can't. I mean, okay, I'm going to do this. Okay, we're going to do this. I'm just going to do this. Tell me, how hypocritical is it of Joe Biden to go on 60 Minutes months ago when the Mar-a-Lago thing was going on with Trump and the classified documents and sit there and talk about how awful this was? I mean, it's almost the second worst thing since January 6th in the way he was acting, in his mind. And he was doing it too. And the media is talking about it, but I'm hearing from some of my far left regressive friends that Trump was worse, that he didn't cooperate. As I see it, I think Mr. Trump probably did cooperate from what I read in the reports, but bottom line is they both did it. So why all the hoopla and flying helicopters in and bringing the media in for the Trump one? And here Biden, they knew about it prior to the election. Didn't say a word before the election, which we all should know. This is going on before that. You don't silence news. Well, you do when it's a Democrat. And Biden does the same thing. They hide it till afterwards. And then it's like, no big deal. I mean, they're gonna use it to get rid of him, but that's his own party eating him alive. but how you can stick up for him over Trump? They both did a well, I was listening to a report on a radio station. A guy who worked in the Secret Service, I think it was. He said if a regular Secret Service person were to do that same thing, they would be in jail for years. So both of those, the president, the former president, if they were being treated like other people in that situation, they probably would be faced in jail time. But all we do is argue in the media about who is worse. It's like, this is poop and it smells, and this is poop and it smells, but his poop smells worse than his poop. I mean, this is so ridiculous that it makes me it makes me laugh, but it makes me so sad for our country, because I can't believe people are sticking up for a man who did the same thing, and they'll still point the finger. And don't try to paint me as a Trump lover. I don't care about either one of them. Trump is not going to be the next president, and Joe Biden definitely is not going to be the next president. But what's so crazy about this is that we are so ideologically fucked up that we can't even come to a conclusion to say you both did something wrong. And either we don't punish both of you or we punish both of you, but we can't sit there and go, he's worse because he only, who was worse, Stalin or Hitler? I mean, was one better than the other? And I'm not comparing Biden and Trump with Stalin and Hitler, but I'm just saying that's how stupid this is. They were both horrible people who killed millions of people. But if one of those people had your ideology and the other one didn't, you'd probably stick up for them. And that makes me sick. Makes me sick. So obviously in our country, we need to come up with a better plan. If our leaders and Hillary Clinton can't handle her emails, and Donald Trump can't put the classified stuff in the right place, and Joe Biden leaves it in his garage. You know what it is? It's because people are embarrassed and they don't know what else to do. I think it's the same way with COVID. You overreacted, you let them get you with fear. And now that the evidence is coming out and people, it's going to be serious evidence coming out that things are wrong. And rather than just all of us going, okay, we made some mistakes, now we need to find out what went wrong so it doesn't happen again. But we don't do that as human beings. No, we dig our heels in and we say, I was too right, and you're terrible, and you did this and that, instead of going, no, hey, when all these facts are coming up and it's all starting to come out, and if you're still sitting there going, you're wrong, then you're not reading the right information. All right, enough of me. I tried not to do this tonight. I was going to not do it, but Bill made me. He brought it out in me. I was going to be a good guy and not do that. It is, Vicki. It's like a bunch of little kids. It's like junior high school. And you know what? Now I can laugh about it because I have no respect for anyone who will not stand up and say two people did something wrong. And if you can't look at all the deaths and things going on with COVID and the kids that are missing school and the education system that's just fried now because of our reaction, it wasn't COVID that did it, it was our reaction to it. And if you can't look at it and say we probably overreacted and did something wrong, I don't need to have a conversation with you, because you're just living in ignorance. And I can't live there, which is why I'm in Montana. All right. I will have a good weekend. We'll be back on Monday through Thursday with a whole new bunch of shows. And keep your head up, because you know what, guys? The truth does come out in the end, and it will set us free. But that doesn't mean people aren't going to scream and yell and bludgeon us on the way. But the more they scream, the more they know they're wrong. I'm learning that. The more they know they didn't have it right, and they're embarrassed. And I got nothing to be embarrassed about. I have things to be sad about, but I have nothing to be embarrassed about. I do it all over again. Good night.